What's going on, people? This is D Thrive here, and I'm here from Smart Solutions Wholesale, and I want to talk about transparency, and how transparency can grow your business or your business to have a short lifespan, right? Now, in the beginning, I don't know about y'all, but with me, I wasn't that great at public speaking because I felt every conversation that I had with another person should always be private, right? I never felt like the next person should be able to hear everything that's going on within our conversation. I was always like that growing up. So this was a different thing for me, right? You're talking and everybody can hear you. You can basically hear a pin drop, right? Like the music is on, but it's up just enough so you can hear it in the background, but not enough where it muffles what you're saying, right? So you have your coworkers listening, and then sometimes there's multiple customers in the store. So you have other customers listening. Now, with all that pressure, you're thinking, man, I don't want to say something embarrassing. I don't want to say something that isn't true and then get caught up and I'm slipping up on my words, or the customer is upset and I have to de-escalate them in real time in front of people because it may be embarrassing, right? Like one of my things was public embarrassment. I never wanted to endure that. So with me going on a sales floor, that's something that I dealt with mentally. Like, man, my coworker's going to hear me mess up. The next customer is going to hear me mess up. Everybody in the building is going to hear me mess up, and I might have to de-escalate. I might have to correct myself. I may have to make sure I'm on my game and know exactly what I'm talking about each go around, right? Or if I don't know exactly, at least be close to it, or be willing to get up and tap somebody else that has more knowledge on the shoulder and be like, hey, I need some help. Can you come over here and, actually close this out for me, or just give me a little bit more information on this. I'm curious, right? Now, you have to tuck your pride. And that's something that a lot of us men, growing up in society, we don't learn that until we either get into a fist fight or, we test ourselves enough to know, like, okay, I may not be the baddest one, or I may be the baddest one, but, I have to go through these tests. So I'm in there like, man, I gotta tuck my pride. Right now is not the time for pride. I remember when I was doing my training, it was unique because it was one mentor to two mentees, right? And I was one of the mentees. And one thing that stuck out to me is something that my mentor would always say. He'd be like, yo, you don't ask enough questions. He said, yo, man, you just like me. You don't ask enough questions. And this guy over here, I can't get him to stop asking questions. He's not hands-on enough. He just keeps asking questions. So I had to find that balance. And some of it was, I didn't know what questions to ask because I literally didn't know what was going on, right? Now, I think I've been conditioned ever since a young man to not ask questions because I felt I was too cool to ask questions. I was too cool to be embarrassed, right? I was one of them kids where if a teacher has a lesson and she's like, hey, does everybody understand what's going on? If I didn't understand, I would not raise my hand because I felt like I would be embarrassed. So I would wait until she's done. Everybody says, oh, no, yeah, we get it. Or there may be one person that wasn't too afraid to raise their hand and say, yeah, I don't get it. Then I'm like, oh, man. I'm glad that they said that, right? Or I'll go to my buddy. I'm like, yo, I don't get this. Like, do you know what's going on? Right? I was one of those kids, right? Now, fast forward in my adulthood, that's basically what I was dealing with. I didn't even know how to ask the right questions. Now, luckily, I've been through the ringer. I've been on that sales floor for some time, and I was able to get over my ego, my pride, and ask questions and actually have fun with asking questions and figuring out other things that I may be curious about and, utilizing that information in my everyday life. Now, why am I saying all of this? Because it's about transparency, right? Now, if you are somebody that is heavy in your ego and your pride and you just always have to be right, there's a chance that you may lie just to get your point across. Now, at a customer's expense, they can't take that, right? That's a loss. Because if you're a Mr. Know-it-all, right? And I'm not saying Mr. Know-it-all is bad, because you may know it all when it comes to your niche, which is good. When it comes to your level of expertise, that's good. But if you're somebody that you just have to get your point across, so you have to make it seem like you're the professional, but you're not really being transparent, you are actually lying, you may hurt the customer's trust in you and your brand and your partners around you. And you just may hurt yourself in the long run as well, right? Because that says that you have ulterior motives. Now, I don't know about y'all, but I've sat across consumers and customers, and I saw in their eyes that they basically looked at me like, okay, this guy's a salesperson, without them even really having a conversation with me. They already put in their head, I'm a salesperson. So they're already standoffish, right? Now, I was one that I didn't do the win you over tactic. I didn't do that. I a lot of times was very analytical, and I think that actually helped me, because it gave everybody a space to come together on a common ground and say, okay, with all the antics aside, the numbers don't lie, right? And that's why I chose to be analytical in my pitch day in and day out. That's something that I perfected. Consumer always won when I was analytical, right? But it's those times where you're trying to get some type of common ground. You tend to kind of tell little lies here and there just so you can fit in with the crowd, or, right? So, yeah, I went through in the beginning, my fibs, right? I told little lies to get sales, but they always came tumbling down, right? Those sales never lasted, right? It doesn't matter if I made 200, 300, 400, 500. If I made that money, more than likely it was some type of return or some type of regress in my career, right? Because I was one of those guys where if I did something, that karma comes right back instantly. So I knew it's just a matter of time. This is not going to stick, right? I already knew it. Now, me being wise, I chose to say, you know what? I actually have to get better at my craft. I actually have to know what I'm talking about, because this is painful. I'm taking a leap forward, but then I'm getting knocked down, and it's nobody's fault but mine, right? It is literally my fault, because I'm trying to just be likable, and I'm trying to be that guy that's like, yeah, oh yeah, you golf? Oh yeah, I golf too. Yeah, I know a guy too. I'm trying to be too relatable, right? And when you're trying to be too relatable, you tend to lie. You tend to do things because you like to win people over. Now, I basically took some time and I started reading books. I started getting more into myself, psychology, and just watching those around me. And I picked up this book called Pitch Anything by Oren Clough. And man, that book, wow, it really turned the light bulb on for me, right? I believe that was like my best read thus far. And I read a few books. I think that was my best read thus far. And he basically goes over how each person has a frame. So dope to see, like, okay, this person's frame is the analytical, this person has the moral compass frame, right? And I found that a lot of times taking the analytical frame worked. When you come in contact with a consumer, there's always the possibility that you may not like them, or they may not like you, right? For whatever reason. That's all fine, because you're not going to like everybody that you do meet. However, you do need to come to a common ground. Sometimes people let their dislike disrupt business. Now, I believe you don't have to like the person to do good business with them. You just have to have some type of common ground in order to come together and execute business, right? Now, one thing that I found was common across the board with everybody was the analytics, the numbers. How much are you spending today? How much are you going to be spending monthly? I may not tell you exactly how much I'm getting from it, but you get the point. It doesn't matter if you like me or I like you, because typically what I've found is that the people that I hit it off with earlier on and we were cool, they tend to kind of come back and be a little disrespectful when there were little hiccups, right? Now that's a whole different topic in itself. Now, I found that when you're sitting down in front of a customer and you're trying to pitch a product, you're basically looking at them as your boss, right? And you're basically like, yeah, I have this great idea. Oh, I just need you to say yes, right? Now, after I started reading this book, after I started reading more books and I started learning about myself and learning about people a little bit more, I started seeing coworkers pitching like that. And I've seen myself pitch like that. I've done it too, right? But I saw the mistakes. The mistakes is you're not meeting on an even playing field, right? I would always make the playing field even. I'm the professional, you're the consumer. We're gonna do a deal, right? However, I'm not gonna kiss your behind. You don't have to kiss my behind. We're just gonna come together and on this common ground, which is gonna be the analytics. Now, if you know I'm a man that's very analytical, you know I'm not going to exaggerate. I'm also going to be trustworthy because it's all about the numbers. There's no time for mistakes with numbers, right? Because at the end of the day, I'm putting myself in your shoes, me being analytical. I'm thinking about how much you have to spend every month, how much you have to spend today, the next day, whatever the case may be, right? And how much you're also saving. That was the big thing. I did a lot of price conditioning. Now, price conditioning is something that would definitely double, triple, quadruple your sales, right? Now, that's a total conversation in itself as well. However, I found that me just being transparent, me being analytical from the jump, I would sit down in front of a customer and yeah, we go over the basics. Yeah, where you from? What do you like to do? What are you here for? Like, what products are you looking for, right? And things like that. While I comb through the account, or while I get my information, right? I'm asking you questions. We're having a conversation. Now, I can cook up some type of deal for you if I know your lifestyle. The thing that will harm us is if we just think that there's one size fits all, right? I don't believe in that. I don't believe there's one size fits all. I think everybody is unique and everybody has to have their own type of deal, right? Now, a lot of times I would write this deal down and I would price condition. Hey, this is what you wanted. This is what I found that seems to be more suitable for you. Let me know which one you want to take advantage of. Okay, you want to go with the one that I recommend, right? Cool. Now, this is what it entails. And then we break it down from there. Now, we're going to dial in on those numbers. Now, it seems very robotic. However, I believe the people that you're doing business with are gonna appreciate it. And the reason why I believe it is because I've lived it, right? I've seen it. I know that is the formula. Being analytical is one of the main things that can help you thrive in the sales market, right? Being analytical. It's not always about who you like or who likes you. Being analytical will keep you around because they know, okay, that's the guy. That guy's going to give me a deal, or that guy is going to be honest with me. That guy's going to figure some stuff out. That guy's not going to waste my time, right? Because how would I look if I'm trying to get you to like me, but you're a business owner. You don't have enough time to really be having these conversations with me, speaking about things that we like on our day-to-day activities, right? You don't have time to be doing that. So I'm already losing, right? I'm already losing. You can hit me with the time frame. Look, I really don't have the time. How much does this cost? Now we're right back to the analytics, and that's why I would use that as I wouldn't even really have a pitch. My whole thing would just be a conversation, a regular conversation, and we would just get to the analytics. And I remember talking to one of my coworkers, and he would tell me, he was like, man, when you first came on the sales floor, because I moved from one state to the next. He was like, yo, I tapped my other coworker and I said, yo, did you hear this guy's pitch? He don't have a pitch. He's just speaking to the customer. And I think that was so profound because I didn't think about it from the outside looking in. But the way he said it, it is true. I didn't have a pitch. I was just analytical. Now I would have a conversation with him, but most of the time I'm buying myself sometimes so I can get these analytics crunched in. So that way when I do open my mouth, there's some power coming out and I'm speaking factual, right? So that's something that I believed in. When you do open your mouth to talk, you have to speak factual and you have to be transparent and analytical, right? Now, that's what's going to keep your business going and you're going to be able to thrive. You're also going to be able to gain the customer's trust through your transparency. Stay tuned, keep thriving.